why do you think like storytelling is like so much centered in this space compared to those things, and then also about how do you look at like what role like storytelling like plays in this in the overall, like I think general company building, product building, community building, and maybe specifically Web3?
Yeah, so I think there's two parts of this. One is that I would say that I've seen a lot of storytelling in Web 2, maybe not necessarily because I think it's Web 2 is so broad now. When you say Web 2, like what does that mean? There's so many things in Web 2.
It's everything else.
it's exactly, it's everything else before Web 3 is kind of how it's being categorized. Yeah. But I think a lot of the companies raise the money on a story, right? It's Uber raised money, a bunch of money on a story, and of course they were executing while they were doing some of the other rounds, but it was still the story of the future. And I think when you look at any pitch deck, even if you saw the Yuga pitch deck that leaked a few months ago, it centers on a story and painting a vision for the future of what it could be if you decide to act today. And so I think it's I go back to one of the early threads that I wrote about 10KTF, where I talk about Pixar and how Pixar, they're masters of storytelling. Every movie they do does numbers at the box office. They're consistently on top, and they're not just, big box office. They're also highly rated. People love them deeply, and their magic is storytelling. They've understood that this is this concept that humans are just naturally drawn to no matter what. And that if you can tell a good story, you'll capture attention. And if you capture attention, you will inevitably capture value. And so I think whether in your Web 2 or Web 3, you need to be telling a story. I actually think that a lot of Web 3, specifically NFT brands, haven't caught up to that. And they don't actually try to tell a story. They're just like, here's my mint, here's an art, go do something with it. And they hope that people will degen. But I think those days are done. There's a project that I'm in right now, and I was just featured as one of the first 3 captains, which I'm still writing that, and I'm very humbled by that. But they were the original storytellers in Web3, I would say. Their NFT project started with story at its core, and they built everything week over week on a story. And I think now what we're seeing, and one of my co-hosts on a show that I do, maybe Neda, she said this last week. She said, I think what we're going to see is every other NFT project is going to see the success 10KTF has with their storytelling. And now you can actually see it in real time. Everybody's trying to kind of hide or put story in the middle of their project and say, oh, by the way, we are telling the story too, look at us. But I think it needs to be something really deep and innate and to your ethos. And I think that's why it resonates with people, because it's everything is a story that needs to be told. It's like your life when you tell people who you are, you're telling the story right there, right? And that captivates people.